this. Set it to dry. But I want you to note some key pronunciation points in this phrase. This phrase is kind of self-evident, right? I'm going to put a wet dish and set it to dry, maybe on a towel or a rack or something. But the pronunciation of this is not so evident. Listen carefully when I say this and pay attention to all the T's in this phrase. Set it to dry. Set it to dry. Well, let's start at the beginning. Set and it both end in T's. Listen to the T at the end of set. Said it, said, said. It sounds like a D, and in fact, that's how we pronounce it. When there is a T surrounded by vowels, in American English, that T becomes a D. Said it, said it, said it. And then we have the word it. But unfortunately, it is not pronounced like that. The word it, the T, is going to be stopped at the top of your mouth. I like to call this a stopped T because your mouth is making the shape of a T, but there's no air that's coming out. It's just stopped right in the middle of your mouth. So it's going to sound like this. Said it, said it. My tongue is stopped up here. I didn't say said it. I wish it would be really clear, right? But instead it's said it, and then take a look at the next word. It also has a T. This word to dry is going to be reduced. Often the word to is reduced in phrases, and listen to how this one is. Set it to dry. Set it to dry. To dry. I'm not even saying the O, just to dry. To dry. To dry. So as you can see, this simple phrase, we can really dive deep into it because with English pronunciation, there's always something going on. And with these little tips and tricks, you can understand fast English better. So when you know that the T could change to a D, said, and the T at the end sometimes becomes a stopped T, it, and the word to is reduced to dry, you can understand a fast phrase like set it to dry a lot easier. All right, let's listen to how this was said in the original context in the conversation where I was washing the dishes. Let's watch. I usually set my cutting board on that in the sink to let it dry. And that's done. Everyday phrase number 2 is to wash something by hand. I am not using a machine, I am washing it by hand. Please be careful how you wash the wine glasses. You need to wash them by hand. They're very fragile. And note that this phrase is often split. Wash them by hand. This shirt is made of a very special material. You need to wash it by hand. It's not actually. You can just throw it in the washing machine. But if you have a very special shirt, you could say, I need to wash it by hand. Excellent. All right, let's see how this was used in the original conversation. I'm going to wash my beloved cutting board. So in order to wash something like this, I need to do it by hand. The third everyday expression is let it slide. Notice the pronunciation at the end of the word let. That T changes to a D. Let it slide. In the original conversation, I was talking about getting everything clean off the dishes, but I said, you know what? I'm going to put these in the dishwasher, so I'm not worried about getting everything off of them when I wash them by hand. I'm just going to let it slide. And that means I'm not going to worry about it. I'm choosing to say that this is not important, and I'm going to just let it slide. Now we can use this in the negative sense as well. So take a look at this example. He didn't do his homework for 3 days in a row, and the teacher couldn't let it slide anymore. So we imagine the first couple times that he didn't do his homework, the teacher said, okay, bring it in tomorrow. Okay, bring it in tomorrow. And then by the third day, she realized, no, I'm not going to just let it slide. I am going to take this seriously and show that it is important that you do your homework. So maybe there's some kind of punishment because he didn't do his homework 3 days in a row. Don't just let it slide every time, but sometimes it's good too. All right, let's see how this was originally used. I don't really care. The dishwasher will probably take care of it. And if it doesn't, that's okay, right? Gotta just let it slide. The fourth everyday expression is let it soak. Same pronunciation here. Let it soak. Let it soak. And in the original conversation, I was talking about a dish that had a lot of grime and crusty old food on it. Really great, right? And I filled it with water to let it soak. Make sure that it could get all of that grime off of it easily without having to work too hard. I needed to let it soak. And you can soak other things as well. So maybe if you are painting, if the paintbrush gets too much dried paint on it, you need to let it soak, and then it will be easier to clean. All right, let's see how this was originally used in the conversation. I will just fill this with some water and let it soak. And then when it is done soaking, I don't know, like this evening or something, Dan will come in with this little scraper and will gently scrape the residue off of the pan. The fifth everyday phrase is my husband's job. You might say, Vanessa, this seems very simple. Why are you teaching us this? Well, never fear, there is a reason. I want you to be able to accurately use possessives in English. Do you see that middle word here? Husband's job. Whose job is it? Who is possessing this job? It is my husband. So in English, we rarely say the job of my husband. Instead, we use this apostrophe S to show whose it is. It is my husband's job. That's Vanessa's tea. Don't drink it. That's my husband's job. Or, little note, when you have a word that ends in an S, what do? A lot of native English speakers also have an issue with this. Take a look at this sentence. Where are the Legos? They're probably in my kids' bedroom. Okay, I have two kids that sleep in the same bedroom. What can I say here? How can I write this? Should I say kids' bedroom? Instead, when we write this, we put the apostrophe at the end of the word and we just say kids. They're in my kids' bedroom. Beautiful grammar, beautiful English. So make sure that when you're talking about who is possessing something, you use an apostrophe S, or if the word already ends in S, you can just bloop, add an apostrophe at the end. All right, let's see how this was used in the original conversation. Actually, this job, washing the dishes, has been my husband's job for many years. So he was very excited that I was going to film this video because I would do his job for him. Everyday phrase number 6 is one that I use so much, and it is the word leftovers. Leftovers. This word implies food. We're not talking about anything else here except for food. What should we do with the leftovers? Well, we're going to put them in the fridge and eat them tomorrow. That's what my family does a lot. What are we eating tonight? Leftovers. That's all you need to say. Leftovers. And what does it mean? It was left over from the previous night's dinner. This is the food that you don't eat after a meal. Whenever I cook something, usually if I cook a soup, for example, I make a lot of it so that we have leftovers, and I will freeze some and we'll have that soup again the next week. And we can call this leftovers. We're just having leftovers tonight. It's pretty easy. All right, let's see how this was originally used in the conversation. I don't know what we had in there, but leftovers. We had some kind of leftovers in there. Some more spoons. Everyday expression number 7 is an interesting one. Residue. Residue. Note that the S here is pronounced like a Z. Residue. And what is residue? It's that little sticky stuff or little bits of something that's left behind. Not leftovers, but left behind. So if you have a sticker on something and you take the sticker off, what's left behind? it's a little residue. So it's usually something that needs to be cleaned. So you could say something like this. Please clean this plate again. There seems to be some kind of residue on it. Ugh. You don't want to eat on a dirty plate, right? All right, let's see how this was used in the original conversation. I used this a lot while I was washing the dishes. Let's watch. So this still has some residue of oatmeal in the bottom, but I can put it in the dishwasher and it's gonna be okay. Everyday phrase number 8 is actually a phrasal verb, to throw it in. And now I'm adding it in the middle here because we almost always split this phrasal verb with another word. So let me give you a lot of examples. When you finish the book, can you throw it in my backpack? Throw it in. It here is the book. When you finish the book, can you throw it in my backpack? Now, are we actually talking about throwing something? No, it just means this casual movement without too much carefulness. You're just throwing it in my backpack. Maybe you will actually kind of carefully put it in the backpack because it's someone else's book. But in the question, we're just saying, can you just throw it in my backpack when you're done? Don't make a big deal out of it, but don't forget it. Just throw it in there. I use this phrasal verb all the time when I'm baking. I like to put bananas in different baked goods. When I'm baking cookies or muffins, I like to put bananas in it. It tastes good, it's naturally sweet, and it has a nice texture. So we could say, I think I'm going to throw some bananas in this muffin mixture. Pretty common for me. I'm going to throw some bananas in the muffin mixture. Here I split throw in with the bananas, some bananas. I'm going to throw some bananas in this muffin mixture. Excellent. All right, let's see how it was used in the original conversation. I hardly ever wipe off the dishes. It's literally just maybe 5 minutes of quick rinse, throw it in the dishwasher, quick rinse, throw it in the dishwasher, because I'm not talking to somebody. Everyday phrase number 9 is only one word. It is the word just. Just. We are just going to talk about the word just. We often use the word just to make something smaller or less important, less formal. So, for example, in the original conversation, I said, we don't use fancy plates at our house. It's just our house. We're not at a big castle or a palace. We're not having a big holiday dinner. No, it's just an everyday dinner, nothing too important. It's just our house. So do you see here, by using the word just, I'm diminishing our house. It's just our house. Let me give you a couple other examples. He's just a kid, so let's be patient with him. I am diminishing, or I am making it smaller, his role. Don't make him too responsible for something. He's just a kid. He's just a kid. Or, as your English teacher, I might say, it's just a small mistake. Don't worry about it when you're speaking in English. It's just a small mistake. I love it. All right, let's go and watch this and how it was used in the original conversation. I want to know, do you use gloves when you wash the dishes? I never do, as you can see. My husband does not either. And I just wash my hands afterwards. It's fine, right? It's not a restaurant, it's just our house. And our final everyday phrase before our bonus phrase is a great one. It is to get the water hot. Vanessa, what in the world are you teaching us again? This seems so simple. But hold your horses. We're going to break down this grammatical phrase so that you can use this concept in other phrases as well. Let's take a look at this. First we have get, then we have the water, which is a noun, and at the end we have hot, which is an adjective. So let's see if we can apply this get, noun, adjective type of structure for other phrases. You bet you can. Before the guests come over, we need to get the dinner ready. I love it. Get the dinner ready. Can you get the kids dressed while I get myself ready? Here we have a lovely structure that you can use to make these types of get phrases. Get myself ready. Get the water hot. I bet that you are going to hear these types of phrases all over the place after you've learned them in today's lesson. All right, let's see how this was used in the original conversation. I have some dish soap and I have some strong power. Actually, let me get this water a little bit hot. All right, now it's time for our bonus everyday phrase, and that is a fun one. It is picky. Picky. Are you a picky person? Well, thankfully in my family, no one in my house is a picky eater. Here I'm specifying picky eater. What does that mean? It means that it's someone who dislikes so many foods, they will only eat pasta and bread. They will only eat food that has been cut in a certain way, a sandwich that's been cut like this without the crust. That is a picky eater. Thankfully, no one in my house is a picky eater. My kids eat everything. I feel very grateful about that. But you can be picky in other ways as well. Picky with food is generally a negative thing, but can picky be positive? Let's say it's your job to hire a new marketing manager at your company. Well, you need to be picky about who you choose to be the marketing manager. This is a very important role, so your process for hiring that person is probably going to be really intense and detailed. You need to be picky about who you choose. That means you're going to say no to the majority of people, and your standards are very high for the person that you actually choose for this role. You need to be picky when you're hiring people, but don't be picky when you eat. All right, let's see how picky was used in the original conversation so that you can also use it yourself. You might be picky and try to put every piece of silverware in a special little slot, but I am not picky when it comes to the dish.